Hello, I am going to do a quick read for you guys today. Just pull in some cards, okay? You know, kind of in that nothing in particular type mood, just getting stuff. It's a rainy day, so just getting the indoor stuff done, you know what I mean? Anyway, my apologies if my dog starts barking. Some of the neighbors are having like some work done, so you know what I mean. When she sees a strange vehicle or anything, she's on top of it. She's a watchdog, you know what I'm saying? So, I'll go ahead and let's start with the meditation deck. We haven't used this one in a while. So, especially as the full moon comes around, which I believe is going to be, hang on a second, I have my zodiac calendar right over here. Okay, so that's gonna be Saturday. So one, two, yeah. In two more sleeps, we will have the full moon. So if you have been feeling energetically pulled in different directions, maybe you're starting to get excited about a project that you have. Maybe you need to do something about this project and protect your intellectual property. Okay. So, registering your product with the proper channels, if you will. Okay. Okay, sorry, I had to write that down before I forget it. So, you can meditate anytime. You can take, time during your lunch break if you want. Some people like to listen to meditative music. There's lots of different things out there on YouTube, including many of the solfeggio frequencies that go through your different chakras, okay, and it can help you do meditation and healing in those areas. All right, so if you're feeling a little stressed, a little under pressure, right, it's like, oh my gosh, it's spring, and I'm not getting outside today because it's a crummy day, and you know what I mean, and then then it starts on that loop, right? On that negative loop. Well, this is the time. This is, at meditation, using that time. Look at that, light worker. Okay. So using that time, shining a light that says, okay, well, maybe you're being allotted time today to do something else. Be happy about that. Take advantage of that, right? Okay. You could also have longer hair. For some of you, maybe this is where you're finding that, oh, I did have that flashlight. Like you thought you were alone in the dark, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm a smarty pants. I pack my emergency thing in the trunk of my vehicle, or I have an extra such and such in my backpack. You know what I mean? Like, and now you're the one that's going to be like guiding the way. Okay, so this could be also relevant for somebody who's like in EMT or search and rescue. Okay, if that's kind of like a type of profession that you're doing currently. Okay, so or EMS. Okay, folks that look to spirituality and religion, that's sometimes EMS for the soul, right? Okay, so you may be turning that light on for somebody else, for yourself, or sharing that obviously now with others, now that that light is on. Okay. Yeah. I'm hearing that I think it's technically a fish tune, or it's at least, I don't know. It's a Trey does it, Citrus Soul Free. Sometimes he does it with Tab too, so I don't know if it's actually anyway. I was getting that, yeah, connection. Okay, so you may be connecting with others that may be setting you free from some kind of storm that you thought you were alone in. So for many of you, it's like, you're this light, and now you're part of the many that are lighting the path. So you may be in a group of light workers. Okay. So also, say if you give others, spiritual guidance, and that could be through all sorts of ways. That could be through Reiki treatments. That could be through helping somebody learn their astrological charts. Helping, doing yoga. Things that get people in touch, but yet with themselves, but yet connected enough, right? It's no longer the blind leading the blind, right? It's like, hey, here I have this little tip to share with you, right? And then it's like everybody's kind of swarming, and it's like, well, I have a tip too, and da, 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 da. And then it's kind of like this whole thing just starts glowing and vibing and growing. Okay. Um, it's growing the bigger pie, right? Instead of grabbing at stuff thinking there's a limited number of resources. Okay. When we all have the power to create within ourselves, and a lot of you collective have, because you were thinking about this a long time ago. Okay. And now it's like, oh, now's the time. Okay. This was my free. I love this mug because of the size. I got this out in the first time I actually like gambled in Las Vegas on the old strip there on Fremont Street or whatever. I got this mug for free for becoming a member that day. You know what I mean? Where they sign you up for their rewards program or whatever. That's when they had COVID going on, so they had all these like plexiglass things, and so it was like you were in these little things. Yeah, cherish. That's not anymore, right? Like, so there's things that we can appreciate now, that we can do that we might not have been able to previously, right? So again, meditating on things that have gone well. It's kind of like getting that momentum in order so that you're turning the wheels of positivity in your favor, right? Not just being for the benefit of others, but lighting your own path as well. Okay. And for a lot of you, it's simply following your intuition. Okay. So we have nourishment here. Okay. So really listening to your intuition is going to start giving you the kind of breakthrough medicine that you need. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the romance angels today. So for some of you, this may be some romantic connections as well, okay? Because it's like you're going to be around the right type of support, right? Where it's not a competition, it's a connection, right? It's not to say this and that tug of war, it's to build something together, right? If you've ever gone into these, big old houses, or, these massive churches in these city centers, it's like it would be a physical impossibility for a single person, kind of like God, like he, passed away before, one of those churches of his was like finished or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't even see the after effects, okay? That doesn't mean we shouldn't still plant them, right? Okay. Because sometimes what we see, it's almost like it's so blinding, it's so strong. We're like, oh my God, am I allowed to do this? And it's like, yes, you actually are, right?
This is a reminder. Water the plants. This is a reminder. Water the plants.
I already watered my plants this week, so I won't be repeating that, but Oh, thank you, Alexa. Alexa, I said thank you.
My pleasure. Just doing my job.
Doing my job.
Have a good Wednesday afternoon.
There you go. If you're somebody who doesn't have a calendar and you're not sure what day it is, let your friends help you. Ask for and accept support from others. So maybe it's a technology support, right? Maybe it's just a simple suggestion. Somebody's like, have you thought about buying a planner? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not that you can't remember things, it's just that there's other things to think about, right? Where our memory used to be so focused. Like, I never used to have to write down my homework assignments. You know what I mean? Or even barely like, but I would, and then you have to get into a practice and habit of it because sometimes if you don't do those things, then you lose that, and then it's like, well, it's not that right? But it's kind of like throwing out the map, right? Somebody gave you a map here. So that could be collective what your friends are helping you with right now. And again, saying, look, you have a map, go and use it, do it. Right. Okay. So you might consult with folks along the way that are either experiencing some of the same things you are, or have just like a certain level of understanding of the human experience, I guess I want to say. So honeymoon, enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. Okay. So this time of connection, like I said earlier, could be romantic. So for whoever this is, hopefully you're not honeymooning in space. Like, thank goodness our astronauts are home. I was so happy to hear that, right? That would be really interesting to hear, like, how they think things are different now back in their normal Earth lives as when they first left. Has anything changed? Say, like, if they go and gas up their car, or anything like small like that. It's kind of interesting. The other day, I went by a grocery store, and I've gone to this grocery store chain before, but I hadn't noticed this particular one had like like how those Amazon lockers are, but it was like the grocery store lockers. And I think I've seen more of that like on the Southwest and stuff, but they had the grocery store lockers, and they were like refrigerated for, so you could just go and pick up, you know what I mean, your groceries or whatever. So I thought that was kind of cool. Especially, like if you were just like taking an Uber or something, you know what I mean? The whole timing, and it's just like, or if you were, hopping on the bus and you just have to, you know what I mean? Like, go pick it up from the locker and hop back on the bus. Maybe by the time the bus is still waiting there, you know what I mean? They have to wait there for a minute sometimes. Anyway, so, it's just interesting seeing those things develop over time. And it's not necessarily something you haven't seen before, but like me, like this was in a town where, is maybe a little, smaller town or whatever. You didn't expect to see that. Okay. Anyway, it is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. Okay. So, for some of you, whatever this is, this giving and receiving of this love is really going to nourish your energy. It's going to make you feel good. Okay. This could be connection with a pet as well, like kind of opening yourself to some unconditional love, you know what I mean, that maybe other folks weren't really appreciating out of you. Okay. For some of you that already have children, you understand this kind of concept. Okay. But some of us, and I had a pretty good childhood, but I'm just saying, a lot of people had, things they had to work through, especially with parental figures that were not exactly parental in behavior, right? So, a lot of folks had that kind of like, oh, as adults, they've had to learn to say, I'm worth it, right? I deserve to have a happy life just because they weren't paying attention to me, right? So you being able to do this now, you know what I mean? And it's almost kind of like rebelling in a way against the previous generation, right? There's that one movie, it's called Jane Austen Book Club, and the one gal is a French teacher, and her mother is like this hippie, and her and her mother are very different in their lifestyle choices, like, but yet she still faces kind of this temptation where she has to decide if she's worth it or not to go forward in the direction that she wants, right? So, for a lot of you, I think this is kind of going to be the thing that you've been hoping for, the thing that you've been waiting for. Okay. Um, and it's going to be safe for you. Yeah. Look at that. You deserve love. Yeah. So this might be something you need to start repeating to yourself, give yourself that mantra. Maybe start listening to some, uplifting music. If you're not sure what is uplifting, listen to some of those online, like I was mentioning before, the solfeggio frequencies, maybe listen to some, philharmonics or orchestras, not necessarily with any lyrics in particular, right? If, because sometimes some of those messages can be kind of strong when we're just trying to relax, right? Okay. So, let that be part of your breakthrough. And for some of you, that might be literally how you are somebody that helps others by making content of that nature. Okay. Like me, I like watching those dermatology videos. You know what I mean? Like like if I had to go back and be a doctor, you know what I mean? It's like, what kind of doctor? It's like, I could probably be a dermatologist. You know what I mean? Like, um, things like that. Like saying, rewinding time, right? Because I don't think I want to rewind time and that much to try and go through med school at this point in my life. Although, stranger things have happened with other folks. There was one time I went, well, it was like somebody from Match.com and whatever. Anyway, this is the when it's kind of like online dating. It's like, whatever. He like texted me to death, but he was like in med school, right? But he was like 40, it was kind of like, that's interesting. Obviously it didn't work out, but I was okay with that. It wasn't, whatever. It was a texting friendship. It wasn't really a relationship. You know what I mean? Message held for Go Cubbies. Yes. Midwest gal here. So I've been to Wrigley. I've never been to Comiskey, but I have been to Wrigley Field many times. Now, some of my cousins that are Sox fans may have been to Comiskey. Um, but yeah. And I've never been to one of the Crosstown Classic games. So I've never been to the Southsiders Stadium there. That guy says hi. That's some place to start, isn't it? You know what I mean? Some people think they need to have a lot of things complicated. It's like, oh, I can't have that. I have to have this special kind of blah blah blah, right? When sometimes when you get down to it, it's like, what did you really need out of that situation? Some good food, some good sleep, some sunshine, and a little, so giving yourself that self-love, right? And then saying, yeah, I'm worth it, right? Okay. You guys all remember those? I think they still have those commercials, the L'Oreal Paris, I'm worth it, right? And then she shakes her head. I've box dyed my hair many a time. Even when I was, working my corporate job, when you would think like, but there were years where I was just like, I just felt like, And I think that's kind of a girl thing too, just to experiment with your hair and makeup and whatever. And some of it, like especially some of the stuff I got like at Ulta, but then they stopped carrying it, so I stopped getting it. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty good, you know? So, but I'm not as hard on my hair as I used to be. And, you know, anyway, some of those actresses, when they end up having to like cut all their hair off, you know what I mean? It's because, some of these roles that they had to have their hair looking this and that versus just wearing a wig, right? Or doing some styling, it like ruined their hair, and then they would have to, start all over. So it's kind of crazy. See, you would think they're getting the best treatment in the business, but sometimes things aren't meant for us, and then it's okay to, then you have to cut it off and start over, right? And grow and go into a new direction. Okay, so wow, look at that. Yep, cutting off the dead ends. This is so funny because I'm getting my hair trimmed tomorrow. Like, so, and this is scorpionic energy. Again, Scorpio. The last reading I did, Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. Okay. If you go look at my last live, under the live tab, okay. Most of my readings I do post from the live tab, okay. I do occasional uploads straight to video tab, not so many shorts. So if you are looking for the latest and greatest readings, just go to the live tab and you will see them listed in order. Left a thumbs up. Have a great night. Thank you for the thumbs up. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. So thank you. And I do appreciate when others are kind to each other in the chat. Okay. Seven of Swords, because even though there might be karmics around trying to do yuck stuff to us, that doesn't mean we want to be participants, right? So for some of you, you're kind of looking at these past betrayals and realizing, those are not the people you want to connect with anymore. You're revitalizing your connections. So, for some people, it could have been one of those things where as soon as they got married, then like the honeymoon was over, right? But I was not feeling that for you. Okay. I feel like this could even be like somebody where it's like if they find out you're moving on, then they're like feeling all sorts of hurt about it, and they're going to tell you 7 ways to Sunday how, right? And it's like, dude, haven't you been moved on from that person for like years, sometimes decades? I mean, this is what I'm talking about, people. It's like, yeah, and this is the thing too, especially if some of you have experienced some strong stuff recently. This letting your friends help you, not letting you wallow, right? Yes, it happened, but you got to find a way to keep going after that, right? Yeah. So this person, I feel like also, there could be some karmic energies that want you to feel devastated that you're moving on without them and you don't. It's kind of what I'm getting, and that's totally what this you deserve love card, and you're going to know this immediately because the second this person tries to get back in your energy, you're going to be like, "Oh my God." You know what I mean? It'll be like hey, can you lend me this so I can do that? And then I'll take a cab here. And you're just like, I already lost you already on that map. Okay. Let me tell you, I've driven Uber, and, sometimes the folks that want to make the multiple stops, it starts to get a little confusing. I'm not saying people don't have to do that, but you know what I mean? If you don't tell the driver what's going on, and we're just trying to figure this out in the app and watch for traffic and watch for all these randos walking through the parking lots, not looking at me, driving you around, and then they're all back there in the back just on their cell phone, not like I'm just their, show. Thanks for the dollar tip, if that. Then they want to get mad at you for being confused about it. It's like, oh, I don't know. You want me to fucking juggle up here while I'm fucking driving? No wonder Tesla found a figure out a way to make those self-driving cars. You know what I mean? It's like you're doing all this shit. Did we miss out on the backseat drivers? I'm just saying. Keeping these kids so entertained, now nobody knows how to drive. I got an idea. Why don't you stop complaining and help me watch for cars and traffic? Read some signs for me. My eyes are getting old and tired. I don't eat all my carrots like I'm supposed to. Right? I mean, sometimes it's like you're babysitting, I mean, it's not my job to be your television set, So, anyway. Again, I feel like whoever was getting that nourishment from you, it's like literally, yeah. They're looking at you like, seeing you all happy, or like, oh, look at them going merrily down to, off to see the wizard, right? And they're looking like, they're like those trees in the, right? They have get the apples picked, and they're like throwing the apple there. Woo, woo. Okay. In case you didn't know, that's from a children's movie, because that's how some folks be acting, like children's. Well, I had the babysitting reference. Okay. Now, I'm not saying we don't all need that every now and then. That's what I'm saying. Just let your friends help you. And especially when it comes to the friends that are, instead of being like bagging on you, being like, point out, well, you know what? Okay, you didn't win that race, but, you met your training obligations. You showed up on time. Maybe you set a personal best that day. See how many of these, these athletes, they get in these big meets, and then I'm not saying it don't happen, but some of these people don't even finish that race that day. They end up pulling something or where, I mean, some of it ain't all injury. I'm just saying. So, but the light worker is the one that's like, they're finishing that race. So when somebody wants to say, whose side are you on? You're like, well, I'm on my side because I'm trying to get across that finish line. Okay? That's what side I'm on. So, you just want to shine the darkness, keep shining the darkness. Well, I got news for you. Darkness is going to come. It's going to be around 7 p.m. I mean, there was a little time change. All right. Again, listen to the solfeggio frequencies, some sound meditations. Get in tune with your circadian rhythms, right? Before we go into where we may have been in that period of hibernation, right? And kind of being okay, just like cozied up and whatever. And now it's like, yeah, it's time to branch out. Like your friends might say, it'd be like, okay, well, you talked to so and so. Maybe it's time to take that next step and meet them for a coffee. Maybe it's time to invite them, like if you're a teenager, like maybe invite them over to your house while your parents are, maybe you guys can watch a movie in the basement or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. You know what I mean? Where you're branching out. Okay. And, let yourself be happy doing that. Right? Everybody goes through those stages. Right? What if they say no? What if it happens. Right? Yeah, Four of Pentacles. So, whereas it's safe for you to move forward, this other person might be wanting to hold on to you because they see you moving forward and being successful, right? Now, this, I don't know how long Mercury retrograde's going to last. Again, I'm not an astrologer, so I don't have all that stuff. I don't do all the research on that. So I'm not here to try and give you guys, bad advice, right? So some of you could have been taking bad advice, and basically what's happened now is the people that were giving you that advice realize that now they're the ones that have the worry, right? Because they were all advocating that you save them versus where you've been advocating that they save themselves. All right. And telling themselves, that they deserve love. So start focusing on what you want out of that. It's about connecting. It's not about gaining the adoration of others. It's about vibing on the same level, not like worship me. Ugh. Why do you think the different incarnations of Christ had to come onto this planet, be it, a Buddha or, or Muhammad or Jesus, okay? To teach us about that connection before we get to the great gig in the sky, okay? Where we're really going to be like, whereas like mama said, knock you out, right? And it's kind of like, yeah, I'm a part of that. Okay. And, if these folks couldn't see the light while I was there, maybe it's their turn to reflect. Okay. Maybe it's their turn to, go back to, community college and get that education for the next career or to trade school or whatever it is. Right. However that's going to manifest for them. Right. So that's time for them to turn to their friends, and here's the thing, collective, you might be so far ahead guiding, you don't have time to go back and explain it, right? It's like, okay, well, I left remember in Beetlejuice when they get, and she's like, have you read the manual? It's like, somebody left a manual here. Some of you are the ones leaving that manual. Okay. I'd love to ruminate about it with you, but I'm off to something else. I'm on to my next project now. So for you, it's kind of just, it's a part of life. It's a part of that, the sun sets, the sun will rise again. And, if you wake up after one more sleep, you get another chance to, make that change, right? That famous quote, be the change you want to see, right? So, if that's you being a light worker and enjoying that and helping others, do that. And don't worry about, and that's the thing too, a lot of times, like in those old, especially the Jane Austen novels, it's like, the guy that has the parsonage or the whatever, whoever's going to be the local priest, it's like usually a very simple life, right? It's not like, it's not how they are living in the big house with the fancy dinners and the parties and right? And collective, what I'm feeling is that for some of you, you may be okay with that, right? Whereas somebody else was trying to like take advantage or monopolize and, you know, essentially make you run yourself out just so they can take advantage, and they can't take advantage of what they already even have. You know, we're all given different gifts in this life. A lot of people don't want to believe that, but it's true. It is 100% true. So, is it safe for you to move forward on your path? Yeah. Yeah, because you're loving yourself, right? And not only that, you're staying away from this kind of rat race mentality. Okay. And yeah. If you've been feeling some of the energies, it's just kind of that other folks kind of worried because you're moving on, right? And they see that likely what's going to happen is that you're going to get, and I heard another, okay? I heard another Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. And maybe it's because, yeah, look at that. Empress, High Priestess, and Emperor. So, yeah, bring it on home. Yeah. You could be any of these energies. All right. So, collective, I hope that helped you today for this kind of midweek check-in right before the full moon. I don't know if I'll be actually putting out any messages on the full moon. Do go back and look at my previous live also, because that was a little bit in the full moon energies as well, which is coming in 2 sleeps. Boop, boopy doo. So, and yeah, when the message is held for review, it's like I can't, you know, guys, when I end up closing out of that, and then I can't even, you know, it doesn't allow me to see it after that. So, you know, and I'm not going to waste other people's time in here trying to view messages that are being held for review. So, you know, I don't have any moderators appointed on this channel currently yet either to handle those situations, but I'm not sure that I really want that. You know, I don't know. I've kind of gone over about it because I don't, you know, anyway. I'm very selective about these things. I don't want to just put out videos or messages because of boredom. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure you guys are getting as much out of it as I am. Okay. So yeah, hopefully whatever your teams are they in spring training right now, you know? So I think they kind of already started. They should be really kicking off the season soon. I don't know when is opening day. So go check if you can. I like I like the game of baseball. It's a nice, you know, nobody gets too mad if you're chatting too much. You know what I mean? It's not as busy as basketball, you know. Not as violent as football. Almost everyone knows how to play baseball too. It's pretty easy too. I mean, the kids can even play. They even play without a glove. You know what I mean? But it's nice to have a glove, a mitt. You know, for if you're gonna go out and play baseball or softball, whatever. But anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you all again for the likes, and for the majority, I feel like it's about 95%, 95% quality chat today. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. So see you soon. Bye-bye.